Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while looking to some standard, modern, and pioneer meta decks. Pretty much the decks that are doing really well and I think are actually doing too well. And we'll look inside them and see which ones, on what cards, and which ones may become a target for a ban in the near future, because I think once you get past 5% or maybe even like past 6%, especially for like modern and other decks, it becomes really easy for wizards to just destroy the deck with a ban. So we'll figure out which ones of these deserve or maybe will get a ban. So let's start with standard. So the first deck is Naya Midrange. So this deck has actually done really well. It's sitting at 26% of the meta. That doesn't even sound right. Now, I think mostly it's coming up from Winota, and she was always a deck to begin with. But now you have some cards from Strixhaven, like Elite Spellbinder. You got Kenrith, obviously, coming back. You got Lotus Cobra from all of these different decks. You got Minsik, Beloved Ranger. You got all of the mana that you need now to get this going. Shattering Skull for the land slash ping. Chariot, pretty good card. So all of these cards, I think, are working really well together for Winota. And I'm not too sure which one of these is going to get banned. There's a pretty high chance that it could just be Winota, but we'll have to see. Outside of that, we'll have to see if Winota is the target of the ban. If she is, then this deck is gone, because it literally just hinges on her. We can have a look at Elite Spellbinder. So it's 2 colorless, 1 white for a 3/1 flying human cleric. When it enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. For as long as the card remains exiled, its owner may cast it, but it costs 2 more to cast. Amazing card, delays any removal. Winota can stay on the field for a bit longer. It's just a good card. Selfish Savior, obviously amazing as well, because you can just sacrifice it to make Winota indestructible. Most of these cards, like, you got a lot of humans in this deck. So you got 4 Winotas, so 4, 8, Halfling, Elf, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, this deck has got way more humans in it than I would have expected. But for it to still do this good, I think there is going to be some issues with either Winota or Elite Spellbinder. If Elite Spellbinder is in more decks than just this one, it could be a target, but this deck is really forced by Winota. Sultai Control is also really in huge part of the meta in standard right now. So main cards in that: Elder Golgoroth, Vorinclex, only 1 of, Valaki, God of Lies, 1 of. It's a very controlled deck. It does play some pretty cool heavy hitters. The problem is that some of these lands are just so expensive, so you're gonna have trouble getting them. You can see like Zagoth Triumph, 4 of them, 55, like almost $56, which is a huge amount. Seagate Restoration is still 1 off, but $11 all by itself. 2 off for Elrond's Epiphany. So painful deck to play against. There probably is nothing that I can think of straight up that needs banning in this. I'm going to have to see how more decks play out. Like maybe Elder Gargaroth, maybe Valaki, maybe Elrond's Epiphany with extra turns. Going to have to see exactly what can cause this to spike, because right now 26% and 17% for Sultai Control is just really high. Like even Dimir Rogues, which is a powerful deck, is at 14.6% now. So these 3 decks are really breaking a lot of the standard metagame at this point. And you can have a look at Dimir Rogues. It pretty much tries to deck them out and does a really good job of doing it. So I think for a deck like this, you're pretty much going to have to just counter the tiny creatures as often as they come, even the crab. So it's going to be tough to get around that, but we'll have to see. Moving on to Modern. So Modern has Hammer Time, which I think is going to be a target for possibly either a ban hammer or something has to change. So this deck, Stoneforge Mystic, has now taken off so much in the last couple of days. And I feel like with Esper Sentinel and Memnite and Pure Steel Paladin, this deck probably can win in like turn 2 or 3 if people don't get counters for these cards. Stoneforge Mystic itself is still moving up. So she's right now sitting at $70 each. That's crazy. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I don't think they're going to ban Stoneforge again. They could, but like the weakest ban they could really pull off is just Colossus Hammer. So right now each Colossus Hammer is sitting at $1 and something. But if you ban Colossus Hammer, then it's not going to hurt the rest of the deck. People can still play around with it. Stoneforge Mystic can still do her thing. But Colossus Hammer is really what's doing the damage in this deck. So we'll have to see how that goes. Is it Tempo? Obviously a huge, expensive Modern deck. Absolutely insane. With Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer, the Monkey Pirate. $320 for a set of 4 of him. Snapcaster Mage, still sitting at $144. Murktide Regent from Modern Horizons 2, sitting at $100. Oh boy, Force of Negation, $89 by itself. Expressive Iteration, a uncommon card that's sitting at $31. Lightning Bolt, of course, back. Mishra's Bauble, $67 for this bauble. This is crazy. Yeah, it's went from $7 to $20 and is slowly moving down. I'm not too sure what they're going to do about this deck. It looks really powerful. I don't think they need to ban it because if you look at the Modern, so Izzet Tempo is 5.9% of the meta. Hammer Time is 7.3%. If you get rid of Hammer Time, there's a pretty high chance that Izzet Tempo would probably jump to 7.3% or even higher. So that's going to be really tricky. We'll have a look at 5 colors elemental as well. So Mishra's Bauble has moved up by like 100% easy. $16 right now. So 5 color elemental. You got Flamekin Harbinger, which we have covered in the daily movers because there is no doubt that card is pulling a lot of this deck. Endurance, obviously all elemental deck. Oh, you got Voice of Resurgence coming back at 2 off. Nice. That card used to be so expensive. Fury, Solitude, all really cool elementals from Modern Horizons. Really expensive. I will admit, Modern Horizons 2 has changed the Modern meta a lot. It really has. Moving on to Pioneer. Does anyone care about Pioneer? We'll have a look. So Niv to Light is still one of the biggest movers. You can see that there's Sylvan Caritid. I don't even know how to say that. Got Valaki back again. Cloths still there. Omnath. Niv Mizzet Reborn. Tolsmy, a Friend of Wolves. Nice, 50 cents card in there. Nahiri, the Harbinger. That's pretty cool. It's been a while since I've seen Nahiri come back. She used to be part of the Eldrazi Emrakul deck for Modern. This deck feels fun, actually, so I'm not too sure exactly what I would want to change with this. Moving on to Burn. So Burn itself is... Okay, so Burn itself is pretty impressive. The fact that it's got Lurrus of the Dream Den is hilarious. I think it's a smart way to play it because a lot of these creatures you can just send them back over and over again. So I agree that it's a good value for getting Lurrus in there. Next we have Bant Spirits. Now we did cover a couple of the spirits like Spell Queller, Jumping Up. This has always been a pretty decent deck. It's got Collected Company. So it's a Collected Company Spirits deck. You got Collected Company Human decks. It's pretty much Collected Company that makes it work. And since 4 of sitting at $72, it is a worthwhile card to get. And last one is Dimir Control. So the last one is Dimir Control. So Dimir Control itself is pretty powerful. I think there's a few things that can actually help it get better. especially when you can try to move it into Modern. But for Pioneer, Sharknado is still pulling a lot of weight, sitting at $34. So we'll have to see how that goes. Watery Grave sitting at $57. Fatal Push, good card. Torrential Gearhawk, been a while since I've seen that card. But yeah, I think this is pretty good setup. I think the standard meta, I would be worried if I owned some of the big cards in that. And for Modern, I would probably be worried if I owned any cards in Hammer Time. But we'll have to see how that goes. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching and have a good one. See ya.